my piano studio here in West Michigan. I'm here to give tutorials on how to learn musical concepts. Today I want to talk about bass lines. A specific bass line, jump bass. But before I talk about jump bass, I want to talk about bass lines in general. So, bass lines are the bass is the bottom of the keyboard. That's what kind of gives the root of the chord and gives that texture and the chords, whereas the top part usually plays the melody. You want to have a bunch of bass lines in what I call my bag of tricks. If you're a pianist, you show up, you have what I call my bag of tricks. I can pull out any bass line I want. I know it in every key and how to do it. So when I go to learn a song, it's got that bass line. I already know how to do it. It's that much easier for me. Remember, learning songs is like music is the same pattern over and over again, just in different order, different rhythm. So if you learn the patterns ahead of time, you can apply them easily to songs. The goal is just to rock out and have fun. If you got to think about it too much every time, it's not fun. Now I always like to have fun. So there's a bunch of different types of bass lines out there. I plan to do videos on all of them so you can learn them. You learn them in one key, then transfer them, transpose them to every key. When you go to rock out with chord charts, whether you're reading sheet music or whether you're writing songs, you know a bunch of different bass lines that can add different texture and variety to your songs. Also, different bass lines help you with different genres. Like a blues bass line might do that, whereas a boogie bass line, that's a boogie bass line. So like different bass lines help you figure out the genre. The bass line I want to talk about today is a very basic and important bass line to learn, which is jump bass. So in the past I've talked about learning your triads and five-finger patterns. Please know before you approach this, you want to know your triads really well. So make sure you refer to those videos, memorize those triads, then try this out. So this way of learning this jump bass line is broken down into some steps that leads into the big picture. So jump bass line is basically moving from a bass note to the triad, okay? So that's a jump bass. You will find that in most country, honky tonk, Broadway, tons of genres use jump bass line in so many ways. You can do it in 4/4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you could do it in a waltz, 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Either way, it's the same thing. So the keyboard is 88 keys. Part of learning how to play the piano is learning how to shift and move comfortably throughout the key. You can do it. Don't be scared. A lot of people start at piano. They want to stay right there. They're afraid to move. When you learn piano, make yourself practice moving. All it's about is memorizing that distance and how it feels and get it on automatic. So jump bass is a lot easier than it seems because it's just moving from the root note to the triad. So you can do the triad in different inversions, which I will have a tutorial video on triad inversions. Please refer to that once that's out. But for sake of just learning this bass line, we're going to use just root position. So when you want to learn jump bass, you want to get the rhythm of it first. So what I do with my students is to first break it down with both hands. The goal is one hand. So you can do what you want in the right hand. But until you get there, do it with two hands. Master it at one level. Once that's mastered, then add on another skill. Add on another skill. Please remember when you're learning a new skill like piano, don't get frustrated. Be patient with yourself. Take it slow. Master it at a slow level. And then once that's good, get it faster, level up. So to start with the bass, first off, the bottom. So if I'm in C major, I'm going to play what's called the tonic or the root, which is C. Then that bottom note's going to go down what's called a fourth. Please watch my tutorial video on fourths. to understand that if you don't. So I'm going to just do this. So that is a basic bass line, going from the tonic to the dominant, or the 1 to the 5. So if I'm in C major, the 5th degree is G. I'm just going to go from C to G back and forth. So you want to get that real firm in your left hand in time. So if you're in 4/4, you want to hear 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That bottom note is what's called the downbeat. I will also have a tutorial video on meter and time signature to help you understand where downbeats and upbeats fit in into music. But for sake of argument, let's just move on. Please watch that video. Understand that that bottom note is on the downbeat. In between the downbeat, we have the upbeat where we play the triad. So I'm going to play C, and then I'm just going to pop a triad. So if you know your snowman group, C major, C, pop the triad, G, pop the triad. Now I could do that in root, or I can invert the chord, which usually sounds pretty good. It's still a C major chord, but the E's on the bottom. Once you're comfortable with triad and inversions, this will be easier. So that's your basic jump bass. So start with learning how to get comfortable in that left hand and being able to pop that right hand. I can transfer that skill to any key. Once you master it in C, think of it in G. Think of it in D. So G major, the tonic is G. So if I want to go down a 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4 notes to the dominant, that's D. Bum, bum, bum. So it sounds the same. Pop that G in between. That's a basic jump bass. So once you master that skill, because you want that rhythm deep in your soul, you feel that and it's comfortable. Then you want to slowly practice shifting. Before you practice a song, always go over the shifts first. If you put your hand there and without playing, just practice moving there until it's comfortable. Remember, don't just do it once or twice and call it a day. Do it till it's comfortable. If that takes 10 times, do it. If it takes 20, 100, whatever it takes. I live for music. I have literally sat at the piano and practiced the same measure for 2 hours straight till I got it right. It takes determination and discipline, but when you throw yourself into it, it's a meditation I can't even explain. So if you can master moving, so if I'm in C major, from C up to the triad, so just start with that. Practice moving, just that. So once you've mastered it with 2 hands, transfer to 1 hand. Do it by itself. Don't try to add the right hand. Just practice that till it's comfortable. Once you've mastered that, then practice going to the dominant. There you go. That's a jump bass. Once you're comfortable with that, be like, maybe I want to do it in a different inversion. It's kind of boring to do things in root position all the time. So I encourage you to practice your triad and inversions. It's the same chord, just put in a different order. A lot of honky-tonk country jump bass, they don't go to the root. They might go to an inverted version of it because it's what's called the voicing. The voicing adds a better texture. You can move to the other chords better if the voicing is right. And use your ear. Trust yourself. You got the golden ear. If you don't know, always refer to recordings. A big part of learning music is listening to the recording and playing along to recordings. That is huge in learning songs, especially covers. And if you want to practice things like bass lines and you're on your own, put on a recording and practice playing along with that. It's like you're with a band. So now, say I'm in a country song and I want to do a basic 1-5-4 jump bass. Say I'm doing Your Cheating Heart, so I'm in G. I would go from G, play that over and over. So that's that. Your cheating heart, G, will make you see. And I just go to that dominant. You see how I'm changing up the inversion that I do that chord in. If you're arranging it yourself, you want to make musical decisions on what kind of inversion you want to go to. If you're reading the music, look at it that way. Remember too, when you're learning music, especially at piano, and you're reading to staffs, pianists, we don't see individual notes. We see the pattern as one thing. When I look at this, I don't see C, C, G, E, G. I just see C major chord, jump bass. One thing. One thing is easier to think of than several. Try to break it down and minimalize it. So that is jump bass. Once you memorize it in one key, like start with C, master it, move to G, move to D. If you could play it in every key, then no matter what song is thrown at you, they want you to play it in jump bass, you can do it. There's so many songs that use this bass line. I would say this is a good place to start. Please refer to my next videos that will demonstrate other bass lines. The more bass lines you have, the more you can pull out. It's more fun. Adding texture, arranging songs like painting with sound, and it's fun. So again, jump bass, practice it 2 hands till you master it, then practice that shift. Then transfer it into every key. And there you have it, about 90% of country honky-tonk bass lines and Broadway, as well as other things, jump bass. I hope that helps. Keep practicing. Be patient with yourself. You can do it. My name's Ann Bell, or Piano Sage. Please find me on Ann Bell Facebook, Ann Bell Piano Studios. And keep practicing and rocking out. I'm Ann Bell. Good night.